Welcome, welcome to everyone around the world. I'm very excited to make this little video here, and it will be a little video because Dr. Brown from the Ask Dr. Brown channel finally answered my question. Well, he didn't really answer it, but he finally addressed my question and attempted to answer it. I've been on his live streams, I couldn't even tell you how long, for the last few weeks. So many live streams, one after the other, every other day, sometimes days back to back, trying, posting my question to him over and over and over and over again, and it would never get addressed. So finally, today, he did. And he answered it, well, he tried to answer it first time. Then somebody else told me, oh, he just answered it again. I don't know whether that's true or not. I didn't hear him say it, but I recorded what he said. Now the third time, well, from what I heard, the second time he actually tried to answer my question, I've got that recorded. Okay, because you actually have to be a member of his channel, like a subscriber, to see those live chat videos when they're uploaded. You can't just see them if you're not a subscriber. So I got the clip here to show everybody what he actually said. Now, I want to say first here, in case Dr. Brown happens to see my video, okay, I just want to repeat, I have nothing against Dr. Brown. I don't go around saying he's a false teacher or demonizing him or anything like that. I don't agree on one or two things that he teaches. But what I find pretty awesome is that a lot of what he teaches is what I believe and likewise teach. And I don't consider myself a teacher, okay, but so many things that he believes and teaches and makes videos about. So I really like Dr. Brown. I have friends with all sorts of different beliefs, okay, so I have nothing against Dr. Brown at all. I don't believe in the Trinity, and that was tied to my question, okay? So Dr. Brown, if you see this here, I love you to death, okay? Please don't think I'm trying to be mean to you here, okay? Now, I'm just very excited because I've been waiting ages to get my question answered, and it was finally answered. Okay, so I've been saying for days, for the last couple weeks, to all the people in Dr. Brown's live chat, and they know who they are because they're always the same people in there, right? They're familiar with me, okay? And I've been telling all these people for so long, look, I've got this question for Dr. Brown. I tell them the question, right? And they're all like, okay, fine. They debate with me on stuff, right? The audience, right? And a bunch of people have been saying for a while now, I would like to see Dr. Brown answer your question. And they even asked Dr. Brown, please answer Enoch's question, right? So for the last few days, couple weeks, has been like that, right? A bunch of people want my question answered. So today, finally. But like I said, he answered it 2 times. Some people say it was commented on the third, right? But I just believe it was 2 times he answered it. The first time he tried to answer it, it really wasn't even an answer, okay? And I told everybody, right, for the weeks leading up to this, that Dr. Brown will be stumped. He will not, because he's a Trinitarian, he will not be able to answer the question. That's just common sense. You will not be able to answer that question, okay? When you read that verse, Romans 1, verse 21 and onwards, those few verses, it disproves the Trinity. It makes it impossible for it to exist. So I wanted to see what Dr. Brown would say. He is very wise, very well studied, and very intelligent. So I wanted to see, am I wrong? Is Dr. Brown going to school me? So I went to this reservoir of wisdom, Dr. Brown, and I'm saying that sincerely, to see, could he actually point out how I am wrong? Or would he stumble and not be able to answer? Okay? The first time, he didn't even really answer it. It was more just like fending it away. Okay? He really more so addressed it in the clip I'm about to play here, and you'll hear for yourself how he didn't really answer it, okay? Now, I'm going to read the verse before I play his clip so that you know what the verse actually says, okay? So you know what he's talking about, okay? I've told everybody and Dr. Brown, please read Romans 1, verse 21 onwards. It says, because having known God, they did not glorify him as God, nor gave thanks, but were made vain in their reasonings, and their unintelligent heart was darkened. Who are these people, right? Not giving God thanks even though they know him, made vain in their reasonings, their unintelligent heart was darkened. In the next verse, professing to be wise, they were made fools. Who were these people? Well, No mystery. The next verse tells you. It says, and changed the glory of the incorruptible God into the likeness of an image of corruptible man, and of fowls, and of quadrupeds, and of reptiles. Wherefore also God did give them up in the desires of their hearts to uncleanliness, to dishonor their bodies among themselves, who did change the truth of God into a falsehood, and did honor and serve the creature rather than the Creator, who is blessed to the ages. Amen. So that is what the verses say, okay? And just to point it out for people who haven't heard it before, the key clincher here is that these people, the fools with darkened hearts and all that, right? What are they guilty of? Changing the glory of the incorruptible God into the likeness of a corruptible man, or of quadrupeds. And I'm just going to point out here very quickly before I play Dr. Brown's response, okay? Trinitarians say that Jesus is God. Jesus was a man. He said, I'm the Son of Man. We all know he was a man. He wasn't a Martian. Okay, he was a man. All right, so when you call that man God and you worship that man as God, you're in direct violation of what it says right here. Not to mention all the rest of the Bible. Okay, but you're changing the glory of the incorruptible God into the likeness of an image of corruptible man. Okay, and of fowls and of quadrupeds. All right, and Trinitarian Christians also say that since Jesus is the Lamb, the Bible confirms that, but since you believe Jesus was God, you are therefore, whether you want to admit it or not, and you're all too sheepish to ever admit it, okay, I'm not saying that to Dr. Brown, but just in general, okay, ironically, too sheepish to admit it, okay, but you're being too sheepish to admit that you're worshiping a lamb as God, even though it's just figurative, just symbolical, okay? And I pointed out to people in the chats before, and I did again today, the sin of the golden calf, okay? The people who built the golden calf knew that the golden calf wasn't God. They knew that God wasn't a beast. They knew that he wasn't a statue. They weren't worshiping the statue as God. They literally made the statue and said, this is our God, Jehovah, who brought us out of Egypt. They made it to symbolize God. And what did God do to them for symbolizing him as an animal? We all know. Okay, so that's why you have to be careful about violating what Romans says. So let's hear what Dr. Brown said as a response. Okay, I'm just going to turn down the sound of nature and I will play his clip. It's only 50 seconds.
AskDrBrown.org, one-time donation. So thank you in advance. We really appreciate it. Enoch, the verse says, those who portray God as a man or a beast, dark and fools. Yes, correct. I don't portray God as a man or a beast. God forbid. We don't.
Oh, hold on. I just want to play that back for anybody who doubted me, right? Play it back for anybody who doubted me, okay? Because I know all the people in that chat room who debate and argue with me over these topics, right? In Dr. Brown's chat room, right? I know that they're sitting there thinking, this Enoch guy is an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's probably got some heathen Bible, man. Guy's a nut job, right? And they're probably sitting there rubbing their hands together thinking, oh, when Dr. Brown answers his question, he's going to say, it doesn't even say that, and blah, 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 right? Let's play again what Dr. Brown said here, right? Did Dr. Brown deny that the verse says what I said it does? And did he not actually double confirm what I said it said? Listen to what he said.
In advance, we really appreciate it. Enoch, the verse says, those who portray God as a man or a beast, dark and fools. Yes, correct. I don't portray God as a man or a beast. God.
Yes, correct. Beautiful words. Thank you, Dr. Brown. Yes, correct. So anybody who doubted me, all you people in Dr. Brown's live chat, you just heard your glorious teacher, who I still love, respect, and adore, okay? You just heard him agree with me that the verse does say that. And I wrote the words down in my question, okay? Portraying whatever it was, like changing the image or portraying God as a man, right? You just heard Dr. Brown confirm that. And in fact, listen to what he says after that, right?
God as a man or a beast, darkened fools. Yes, correct. I don't portray God as a man or a beast.
He says, I don't portray God as a man or a beast, right? Dr. Brown just said that. I don't portray God as a man or a beast. Now, I'm not here to demonize Dr. Brown or make him look stupid or bad, and I'm not going to do that, okay? And it doesn't matter if it was anybody else, anybody saying this, I would say the same thing to you, okay? You do portray God as a man. Literally. You portray God as Jesus, who was a man. Let's ask Jesus. Jesus, who do you say you are? I am the Son of Man, he says in countless places. Thank you. Right? Okay. So you do actually portray God as a man. So if you go back and take your own admission, okay, that the verses say what I claimed, and that you don't do that, go back and process that verse. You're in denial, as is any other Trinitarian who tries to squirrel out of this verse. The reality is, let me play the rest of what he says first.
God forbid. We don't make God into, you to portray God as a man or a beast, darkened fools. Yes, correct. I don't portray God as a man or a beast. God forbid. We don't make God into human form. God forbid. But God manifests himself in human form.
Okay, so you just said, we don't portray God in human form, but then you, in the next breath, literally say, God portrayed himself in human form. Okay, well, show me a scripture, there isn't one, that says that God would do such a thing. There isn't one. And more importantly, show me one from the Old Testament, okay, where it gave all the prophecies about the Messiah, calling the Messiah a man, a human, a son of man. Okay, all the descriptive terms. Okay, nowhere is it said that God will become a man. Why? Because God affirmed in many places he is not a man. He's not a son of man, and he doesn't even have to say that. It's common sense. Okay, God is God, and the moment you try and break the first command of Israel, okay, and say that anything else is God, or even try to say that God is represented as something else, you're breaking the commandments. You're committing some of the most grievous acts of blasphemy and heresy that can be committed. And I'll trace everything back to the sin of the golden calf again. The Israelites did not believe that the statue was God. They did not believe that God was a lamb, was a calf, but they symbolized him as one. I made a stream about this recently, and I covered the verses, so I'm not going to go into bigger detail, right? Here again. Okay, they were smitten and blotted out from the book of life, cursed to wander in the desert, plagued and afflicted until death. That was their punishment. And Jesus says that idolaters, which is those who break these commandments regarding God's oneness, he says that idolaters have their part in the lake of fire. They're not allowed into heaven. So I just urge every Trinitarian to take this seriously, because it is really serious. But I'll play the rest of what Dr. Brown said.
Forbid, but God manifests himself in human form? Yeah, many times in the Bible. What's the big deal there? We don't make God into a bird or a creeping thing. Do you got?
We don't make God into... Notice he didn't say we don't make God into a quadruped beast, which would have been literally quoting the verse that I asked him to read. Because a lamb is a quadruped beast. Quadruped, 4 legs, beast. Okay? Had Dr. Brown added into the list he just verbally said, creeping thing, whatever it was, reptile, and quadruped beast, he again would have stumped himself, or would have been at a hurdle, okay? Because then he would have to say, oh, well, we do symbolize God as a lamb, which is portraying God as the image of a lamb. You do that, okay? So you'd have to address that. You really, really have to address that. So let's go on, listen to the rest of his clip. It's only about 15, 20 seconds left.
Right, you got to totally. You can have more if you tried, sir, in terms of what Paul's speaking of. Just be candid with him. Just be candid, if you care about honesty. Just being honest with him. John, does Genesis say that...
So, Dr. Brown, I get the impression just how the look on Dr. Brown's face when he read my question today, the few times that he did, and the words that he just said here, I have a feeling that Dr. Brown has read my questions before and perhaps didn't want to answer them. Okay? And I just get the impression from the look on his face. It's almost like he has had premeditation or preparation here, if you see what I mean. Okay, it's almost like he's already sided against me, if you see what I mean here. Okay, and no hard feelings with what he said towards me. Fine, that's cool. That's all part of debate. No offense taken. I don't want Dr. Brown to feel offended by anything that I say or whatever either. Okay, but the reality of it is that Dr. Brown admitted the verse says, people who portray God as a man or a quadruped beast. We might as well just say or a lamb, because that's a quadruped beast. Okay, so Dr. Brown admitted that the verse, the word of God, declares that those who portray God as a man or a lamb are darkened fools who don't worship God properly. Okay? Corrupted hearts, or whatever it was that said. So Dr. Brown has just inadvertently admitted this. Okay, and did you hear, that was the whole of the clip, did you actually hear him answer my question? No, he didn't. Okay, but the other suckers in the live stream, God bless their souls, they're, the suckers they are, they're like, oh, doctor, oh, proud of themselves, exclamation points, Dr. Brown answered your question, here he answered it, blah, 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 blah. I didn't hear an answer there, did you? Him vainly claiming, with all due respect, that we don't do that, despite the fact that we do, that ain't an answer to me. That's called you're cornered in a corner that you can't get out of. So you're grasping desperately for straws. And because I have a feeling that he did read my questions, I mean, come on. He has mods on there, okay, operators or whatever, managers who read the questions. We know for a fact, I mean, come on. Unless the universe is against me, Dr. Brown, his mods, and all the other people suggesting that he answer my question, he had to have seen my question in the last couple weeks. He had to. And if he saw it, then his mind automatically would start preparing a rebuttal, correct? Yes. Because that's the way he is. He can rebut against anything almost instantly with memorized scripture. But in the couple of weeks he had to prepare a response for my great question, when he finally answered it, and answered it twice today, he not once answered it. What does that tell you? If I am wrong, and in fact I want to say this, and I say this with a little love and respect to Dr. Brown, okay? I know I'm correct, but let's just pretend everybody thinks, like Dr. Brown thinks he's correct, I think I'm correct, Bob and Jane think they're correct. Good for everybody, okay? We all think we're correct. Don't be offended because I say that, okay? I think I'm correct, and I have to say that, for Dr. Brown to say that, have that type of stance where I'm totally wrong and this and that, he's kind of more like pointing the finger and just saying, oh, you've got it wrong, instead of actually explaining why I have it wrong. Okay, what I grasped from that, because it was actually addressed to me, is that I could very well be a person who's struggling in this. Okay, I am confident that I'm correct, but what if I was a person struggling with the concept of the Trinity? Okay, some people might be severely depressed over that. Okay, it could be a matter of life or death. Some people take such things very seriously. Okay, maybe someone's loved one is, it could be someone's loved one is dying or passing away and they were or weren't a Trinitarian. It could have major implications. So what if I was a real person here? I'm still real, but a real person who's victim of this mystery. Okay, and I have appealed to Dr. Brown for the last couple weeks in desperate hope that he would possibly give me a glimpse of salvation and an answer here. And Dr. Brown didn't. He didn't. And I think he purposely, whether realizing it or not or subconsciously doing it, I think he purposely devised his response to be like this, just fending it away and pointing the finger at me saying, oh, I've got it backwards, instead of explaining the reason why. I think this shows, long story short, that he doesn't have an answer for it. Okay? He can't formulate an answer for it. All he can do is just have the blind faith that what he wants to believe is correct. He's latching onto that like an anchor. Okay? Because if he actually had an answer, he would have given me reasons. Okay? But he didn't. All due respect to Dr. Brown, he did not answer my question. And just for the people who came in, I'm going to play the clip again of his response to my question. And you tell me, does it sound like Dr. Brown finally answered my question after all these weeks?
Appreciate it. Yeah, Enoch, the verse says, those who portray God as a man or a beast darken fools. Yes, correct. I don't portray God as a man or a beast. God forbid. We don't make God into human form. God forbid. But God manifests himself in human form. Yeah, many times in the Bible. What's the big deal there? We don't make God into a bird or a creeping thing. So you got to totally. You couldn't have it more wrong if you tried, sir. In terms of what Paul's speaking of. Just be candid with you. Just to be candid. If you care about honesty. Just being honest with you.
That's it. Now, he's speaking English, my language. I did not hear him give me an answer. Did anybody else? Nope. Means he doesn't have an answer. Doesn't have an answer. Because you can't answer it. And I told everybody in the chat room, and I told Dr. Brown, I told everybody for weeks leading up to this, that he would be stumped by my question. And it came true. Okay? And it came true. Because the verse clearly says, and one more time, okay? Because having known God, like Trinitarians do, they know God, they did not glorify him as God. Ooh, how could that be? Nor gave thanks. But they were made vain in their reasonings, and their unintelligent heart was darkened. Professing to be wise, they were made fools. Heaven forbid. Why would the Trinitarians be portrayed as such? Why? Because verse 23, and they changed the glory of the incorruptible and invisible God into the likeness of an image of corruptible man, and of fowls, and of quadrupeds, which includes lambs, and of reptiles. Wherefore also God did give them up in the desires of their hearts. Right? Because Constantine put that desire there, straight from Satan, to worship another God, to worship a creature as God, and to break the first command and to lose your salvation. It says, wherefore also God did give them up in the desires of their hearts to uncleanliness, to dishonor their bodies among themselves. Body is a temple of God. They're dishonoring the temple of God. Who did change the truth of God. The truth of God is that he's incorruptible, invisible, okay, and cannot be portrayed as a man or as a beast. All right? Who did change the truth of God into a falsehood. A falsehood. And what is the falsehood they're talking about? Portraying God as a man or as a beast. Okay? And did honor and serve the creature rather than the creator, who is blessed to the ages. The creature rather than the creator. Lambs are creatures, and man is a creature. Serving the creature rather than the creator. I don't know how much this could not. Let me word this more simply. This applies 100 million% to Trinitarians. I don't know how it cannot apply to them. It is like almost made to apply to them. Okay? Dr. Brown suggested I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, you never made any attempt to explain to me how I am wrong or how I should be educated for the benefit of my salvation. And I have a suspicion, Dr. Brown, it's because you can't answer it. Because why? It's unanswerable. It proves your Trinity wrong. Okay? Dr. Brown and others, in response to my verse here, everybody else was too scared to read it. Nobody out there went and read Romans 1:21 and all that. They didn't go do it. None of them did. For a couple weeks, I keep saying, go read the verse, go read the verse. What are you afraid to do it? Go read it. It proves what I'm saying. Go read it. Not one person did. Not one person did. Okay, but today, okay, and in the last one or two times where I've been in the live chat and talking with the people, okay, they'll say to me, like one lady did today, God bless her soul, maybe it's a guy, I think it's a woman, right? Oh, we don't worship, we're not saying that God is a lamb, you know what I mean? And it's not there. Hey, that's ignoring the fact that it says you're not allowed to portray him as a man or a lamb. Okay, so that person's ignoring what they are guilty of and just saying, oh, but we don't portray God as a lamb. Well, you do. You do. You say Jesus is God. The Bible declares that Jesus is the lamb. So what all the people in the audience today say to me? Oh, but the Bible tells us that Jesus is the lamb. So you're wrong. What you brainwashed Trinitarians don't get is that Jesus isn't God. That's why it's okay to call Jesus the Lamb, because it ain't blasphemy. He's a man. Your Trinitarians are so brainwashed. The Trinity has been the paganism has been so implanted into your brain that you can't get it out of there. You compare everything to the Trinity. You can't even be unbiased for a moment to help your own salvation, for your own soul. That's the reality of it. Me personally, like I've said before, I personally don't think God is this severely tough. I personally don't think that when it comes to Judgment Day, that Christians are going to go to hell because they got the Trinity wrong. Okay? That they followed the Trinity. I don't think people are going to go to hell for that. I think that that's the type of thing that God can correct verbally with chastisement, maybe a little spanking, but right there at the judgment. I don't see the need to send somebody to a hell for that. I'm not God, though. Okay? But that's my opinion. I do feel 100% strong about that. Okay? My whole family is Trinitarian. I don't bother going to witness to them and try to convince them. There's no need for me to do that. It would only create dissension between us, right? And stuff like that there. There's no point. Once, years ago, I tried to mention something to my grandma, another controversial Christian topic, and the division immediately started. And I had a wonderful life with my grandma, and as soon as I could see that division starting, I was like, look, I don't have anything to do with this. Look, God's the judge, okay? And let that be that, right? Yeah, 90 to 95% of Christians are Trinitarians on paper, according to their denominational definition, okay? In polls, I never trust polls 100%. They're not really accurate. But in polls, it seems to be more like 50-50, right? Like half the people don't really believe Jesus is God, right? A lot of Christians actually do. But on paper, okay, on paper, it's 90 to 95%. And the only reason for that, like I've said so many times before, is that when Constantine and them, the pagan Romans, who had their own Roman Trinity, okay, Egypt had a Trinity, Babylon had a Trinity, all of the nations that worship the star gods, who were the fallen angels, okay, and Satan as their chief, they worshipped Satan in a Trinity, okay, literally. Nobody can deny that. Like, that's not even conspiracy. That's obvious. In Egypt, you had Ta. There's different triads. You have Ta, you have Ra, and you have Isis. You have another trinity where you have, with Ra as the father, and then his son, who was his incarnation, who was Osiris, and then again, incarnation son of Osiris was Horus. That's the secondary trinity. Okay? The little communion wafer that Trinitarians use and Catholics use at communion. I've said so many times before, that is an Egyptian ritual for Osiris. The round wafer is in the Egyptian text. I've read it. Okay? Drinking a little bit of wine at this communion for Osiris because he died for us and all of that there. That's Egyptian. Okay? But Trinitarians go, oh, well, that's just a coincidence. No, it's not. Okay? It's also not a coincidence that Easter and all the other holidays in Christianity are pagan in origin. That is not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that Christmas trees, I love Christmas. I'll never stop celebrating Christmas because I don't do it as a pagan, right? And if you're not doing it as a pagan, then it's all cool, okay? In my opinion, and I think God would agree, all right? But Christmas trees originated in whatever pagan religion it was, but they used to hang reindeer testicles on the tree, okay? Over the centuries, that got translated over into Christmas balls. Christmas balls. And I'm not joking. That's what the wacko pagans used to do back then, right? And they would put presents under the tree and do all that there. I think that might have been Babylon, but I'm not sure. Okay? You can't deny that Catholicism, which was Roman paganism, okay, it tortured everybody across the world into believing all of these nonsensical things. That's the only reason people believe it. All right? That's the only reason. But I'll keep it to this here for this video because it was about the Dr. Brown thing. I'm approaching half an hour. I think that's good enough. Thank you for coming by, man. Good to see you. I might be starting another stream in a moment. Just got to check some things out, and I might be doing that. All right, so God bless you all, and Dr. Brown, I have all respect and love for you. I just really hope next time, I'm not going to ask the question again. I think it's a moot point now. It would probably irritate, I get the impression it would irritate you to address the question again. But Dr. Brown, like I said, what if I was somebody, and in your opinion I am, truthfully, right? But what if I was somebody who is struggling with this in their soul and they want a clear answer? You never gave me clarity today, Dr. Brown. I'm not trying to make you feel bad, nothing like that there, right? Maybe hopefully I'm just provoking you to want to answer my question with better detail, right? If I am wrong, prove to me that I'm wrong. Nobody's been able to prove me wrong yet. Okay, so prove me wrong. If I'm wrong, prove me wrong. Isaiah 42, I will put my spirit upon him. Right? I'm just going to throw that one in the mix. The God say in Isaiah 42, hey, this chapter is about the Messiah, and I'm going to be the Messiah. I'm going to come down, take on a body. Nope. He talked about a man and said, hey, this man down here, I'm going to put my spirit upon him. This is confirmed elsewhere in Isaiah where it says that the Spirit of the Lord rested upon him. It doesn't say that God was him. Okay? And also where it uses in Isaiah, again, the terms El Gibor, which every Trinitarian translates falsely as mighty God. That doesn't mean mighty God. Go open a Hebrew dictionary. El Gibor means mighty hero. And if you want proof of this, El Gibor is used throughout the Bible in many other places, okay, to describe humans, human men who are not God. So just because it was used here, you see what I mean? Your whole argument falls apart. It doesn't even mean mighty God. You think because the term El can be translated as God, that it means mighty God, but no. Okay? If one was to give God the title or epithet, what do you call it, of mighty God or mighty almighty God, it's worded differently according to linguistic scholars. Okay? It wouldn't be worded like El and Gibor. Okay? And the word El can mean Lord, magistrate, king, ruler, husband. It can mean a lot of different things. It does not mean God outright. And the term El Gibor, like I said, is used to describe humans. Of all things, the best evidence, El Gibor was used to describe King Nimrod of Babel. Now, no Christians can be so dumb as to say, oh, Nimrod was a good dude, so he was a good guy, so El Gibor is okay to... No. You can't, you lost. You lost the argument. El Gibor was a term given to Nimrod, okay? A term given to Nimrod and to many other people in the Bible, okay? Because it means mighty hero. Mighty hero, right? Thank you. And it does not say in Isaiah's prophecy there as well, it does not say that his name will be Father of Eternity, okay? Doesn't that sound like God? Yes. Why? Because the Trinitarians altered it. When they translated the text, and they altered all this nonsense, put fake verses in there like 1 John 5, 7, and 8, fake Trinity verse. The only verse in the Bible about a Trinity, what do you know? It's fake, put in there by the Catholics 1,400 years after the Bible was written. Okay, so, and that's been proven by scholars. That is a fact. You know what I mean? It doesn't say Father of Eternity. The actual word is eternal ruler. And this is something that is said of the human Messiah in the book of Daniel and in many other verses throughout Old Testament prophecy. He will have an eternal kingdom. In fact, Isaiah is one who says that the princely power will be upon his shoulder and it will be an eternal kingdom. Okay, key word there also being princely, all right? Because when God is here with Jesus, Jesus ain't king. Jesus is prince when he's standing next to God. Take it or like it, Trinitarians, that's what the Bible says. In Ezekiel and in many Old Testament prophecies that I've read before, and in Isaiah, the princely power will be upon his shoulder. In Daniel, exerted itself against the prince of the host. Okay? Thank you. All right? So anyways, folks, that's it for this stream here. God bless you all, and take care.